It's a very good look, yeah. All right. You good, Dave? Okay. Let's get started, everybody. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning to announce my fiscal year 2025 Protecting Our Progress budget here at the Choice Operations Yard, the hub of our city street repair and stormwater maintenance operations. With me this morning, our City Council President Pro Tem Joe Licata, Chair of our Budget Committee, Councilmember Kent Lee, Councilmember Stephen Whitburn, who chairs our city's Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, our city's Chief Financial Officer, Matt Vespi, our Deputy Chief Operating Officers, Christina Peralta, Alia Curry, and Chris McFadden, our city's engineer and the director of our Engineering Capital Projects Department, Rania Aman, Transportation Director, Bethany Bezak, and a number of our incredibly talented department directors and other key staff members. Now, as many of you know, government agencies across the nation are in the midst of difficult financial times caused by a variety of factors, from the end of COVID-19 recovery assistance to a slowdown in certain portions of our economy to inflation. And the city of San Diego is not immune to those pressures. The cost of gas, electricity, goods, and materials affect our bottom line just like they do every San Diegan's household budget. And while making ends meet on our city's various needs has never been easy, we have done a lot together over these past 3 years to make progress on our city's toughest problems. As your mayor, I am committed to protecting that progress, and that is what this budget is all about. Protecting the progress we've made to address homelessness, protecting the progress we've made to build more housing, protecting our progress on historic investments to fix our roads, protecting the progress to be a good employer by addressing long-time disinvestment in our city workforce. My proposed budget is designed to protect this progress and to ensure smart spending these successes. As a result, this proposed budget is balanced and on time with a plan to keep our city moving forward. Now, I'll tell you, I have lived through difficult budgets here at the city before. I served as the City Council's budget chair in 2010 when we were forced by the Great Recession to slash library hours, brown out fire stations, and gut our workforce and suspend major park operations. And we made it through. As your mayor, my promise to San Diegans is that I will guide us through this year of tough budget constraints while protecting our progress and the quality of life that all San Diegans to the greatest extent possible. Our budget shortfall requires a number of very difficult choices, but we've made them with the priorities and expectations of San Diegans at the forefront, specifically keeping you safe, making more progress on homelessness, making more homes affordable, fixing our roads and other critical infrastructure like sidewalks and storm drains, and ensuring that our core neighborhood services like parks and libraries remain open. Now, as all of you know, I have said addressing homelessness is our city's top challenge. This budget reflects our continued commitment to getting people off the streets and into care with an increase of $26.6 million in order to add 1,000 additional shelter beds and 200 new safe parking spots to our system, all while maintaining our current outreach and shelter operations. Now, housing is, of course, the long-term solution to homelessness, and this budget supports our efforts to expedite the creation of affordable housing near transit by fully funding the View with A's projects under our Complete Communities and Affordable Housing Now programs. And after addressing homelessness, the second issue I hear from San Diegans about by far is fixing the damn roads. Now, these past 3 years, we have made historic investments to fix hundreds of miles of roads across our city. And this year, we're poised to do even more. This budget increases the number of miles that we'll fully repave in the coming year from 60 miles to 75 miles. And we're investing in design and planning needed to complete a 105 miles in fiscal year 2026. We're also investing in our stormwater infrastructure, which is a key part of climate resilience that we all saw the need for during the storms this past winter. This budget has just over $85 million in funds for flood resilience and green infrastructure projects. This funding is in addition to the proactive investments that we're making under the Federal Water Infrastructure Finance and Innovation Act, also known as WIFIA. Through WIFIA, the city is using the U.S. EPA's special loan program to fund up to $733 million in stormwater upgrades. These upgrades range from pipeline replacements to pump station repairs to comprehensive watershed restoration. Now, as I said in my State of the City address, I know that the foundation of a thriving city is keeping you safe. This year, as I've done every year as your mayor, we continue to fully fund our police and fire rescue departments at the levels they require to respond when you call. We're adding funding to cover the personnel and operating costs of the city's newest fire station in Torrey Pines, which will open later this year. We've largely been able to maintain these priority areas by squeezing primarily non-personnel expenses, sweeping unused balances from various special funds back into our general fund, suspending contributions to discretionary spending, and deploying other one-time measures. I want to emphasize again, these are one-time measures made with the hope that we will see improved economic conditions in the very near future. And while we've attempted to minimize service level impacts to the greatest extent possible, we did have to make some very tough choices to maintain our priorities. And I want to level with San Diegans about those choices that we had to make. In order to avoid fire station brownouts, we have cut funding to our Office of Immigrant Affairs. In order to prevent steep cuts to operating hours of our libraries, recreation centers, and pools, we've had to reabsorb the Community Equity Fund into the general fund budget and scrap plans to invest in a cannabis social equity program. In order to continue making progress on road repair, we've had to tap the remaining balance in the Climate Equity Fund for the current fiscal year, and we're suspending all but $1.5 million in the usual $10 million annual contribution into this fund for fiscal year 2025. To avoid cutting officer shifts in neighborhood patrols and to continue addressing homeless encampments, we have suspended our contribution to reserves and some discretionary grant funding programs for 1 year. These are not choices that we want to make, and we don't make them lightly. But many of these measures cannot be responsibly sustained year after year. But these are prudent and necessary choices to protect the progress that we've made in building back our city and providing the services San Diegans expect while tackling the problems that have long been neglected, while again delivering a budget that is balanced, on time, and keeps our city moving forward. I'm incredibly grateful to our city's Chief Financial Officer, Matt Vespi, as well as his team for their strategic, smart proposal to responsibly balance our budget and preserve our top priorities amid all the constraints that we face this year. I'm grateful to our department directors. As I mentioned, many of them are here today for stepping up with measures to economize within their departments. San Diego has certainly faced our certain financial difficulties before, and this year we are prepared to do that once again. I look forward to the City Council's consideration of my proposed budget and working with them to pass a budget that is balanced, fiscally responsible, and reflects the desires of San Diegans. Now, with those comments, I'll turn it over to our Chief Financial Officer, Matt Vespi. Matt?
Good morning. The fiscal year 2025 proposed budget is presented on time and balanced, with a focus on protecting and investing in the city's core services, public safety, homelessness, and infrastructure. The city is in a difficult position financially. While the budget for next year is balanced, it relies heavily on one-time sources that allow us to minimize the impacts to important services we provide. However, this strategic reliance on one-time sources is not sustainable into future years, but it does prevent significant cuts to ongoing services in the near term as we closely monitor the status of the economy and opportunities for additional revenue. While few areas of this budget will receive an increase in funding, the safety of the public is an absolute must for the city, and that is shown through the investment in our police and fire departments, which will receive more than $1 billion in funding for their operations for next fiscal year. This represents nearly half of the city's general operating budget. Homelessness services are also prioritized, with an increase in funding that will allow for more shelter beds to be available for our unhoused population. And even during this difficult budget year, through the strategic use of capital financing and restricted sources, this budget continues to protect the progress in growing our infrastructure investments. The proposed capital improvements program budget for next year is $872 million. This represents the city's largest capital budget ever. This investment in infrastructure includes more than $100 million in funding for street repairs and $85 million for stormwater pipes, in addition to continued significant investment in our water and wastewater infrastructure and the Pure Water program. While next year's investments are significant, the city's infrastructure has been inadequately funded for decades. While the last three budgets under this mayor have sought to catch up on that underfunding by heavily investing in infrastructure, we have a great deal of infrastructure that's simply reaching the end of its useful life. We are looking at figures that we simply cannot belt-tighten our way into being able to pay for. Achieving the significant funding needs of the city's infrastructure will require additional new revenue to fully address. And I will now turn it over to Christina Peralta, Deputy Chief Operating Officer.
Thank you, Matt. Good morning, everyone. Over the past 12 months, under the leadership of our director, Sarah Jarman, our Homelessness Strategies and Solutions Department has made unprecedented progress in addressing San Diego's homeless crisis. The department has worked nonstop collaborating with partners to help bring people off the street and provide more shelter options and interventions to those in need. Last June, we released our comprehensive shelter strategy, a living document that outlines our plans to expand the city's network of shelter beds and other options. In the past 10 months, we have opened 2 safe sleeping sites on city-owned land, which have successfully helped bring nearly 500 people off the streets where they had been living. Now these individuals have access to resources and supportive services with the goal to connect them to permanent housing. We have also expanded our safe parking program, which open shelters for specific populations, including seniors, women, families, and youth. And now we're looking to build what would be the city's largest shelter, a nearly 65,000 square foot warehouse that would have the capacity to serve roughly 1,000 people. We're also developing plans for H Barracks, a city-owned industrial site near the San Diego International Airport, with an initial focus on further expanding our safe parking program. We know that homelessness is the #1 issue facing our city, and this is not a situation unique just to San Diego. With the investment in the next fiscal year budget and beyond, our team will continue to seek out creative solutions to our city's biggest challenge. This is our top priority and our focus every day. And now I'd like to hand it over to our Transportation Director, Bethany Bezak.
Thank you, Christina. In January, the Transportation Department released the first ever pavement management plan. And with this plan, our city now has a roadmap which clearly shows the condition of every single street in the city and a plan for which roads need to be repaired, when they need to be repaired, what type of repairs we need to perform, and most importantly, the total funding need of $1.9 billion over the next 10 years to ensure that our roads reach the pavement condition index of good at a score of 70. Historically, our streets have not had the year-over-year consistent investments over the past several decades to ensure that we deliver slurry seal and overlay treatments at a pace that keeps our roads in good condition. With the FY24 budget, we had one of the largest single-year investments in our road network, and our team is on track to deliver 250 slurry seal miles this year, more than any prior year. And as you've heard with this FY25 proposed budget, the mayor has demonstrated a continued commitment to invest in our roads, with a total of $100 million planned for combined slurry seal and overlay resurfacing programs. It takes us one step closer to improving the road condition of our road network, but that won't happen overnight, and that's where our in-house teams play a significant role. Our 2 transportation in-house mill and pave teams perform paving work on some of the roads with the poorest condition in the city. These teams have delivered more paving than they have in any prior year. Just to name a few locations, our in-house teams have repaired Village Glen, Saturn Boulevard. Just last week, we completed paving on Morena Boulevard, and this week we're paving Myrtle Avenue in City Heights. I'm happy to report that the additional mill and pave team has been included in this year's proposed budget. And this third team will allow transportation to bring more immediate repairs to roads that need attention the very most. A team also to restore pavement after water and sewer replacement projects is also in the proposed budget, and these combined teams will bring critical and timely repairs as soon as they are in place. All of this contributes to a multi-pronged approach of immediate, medium, and long-term strategies for improving our roads, demonstrates real improvements that will come to our communities. Thank you, and I'd like to introduce Projects Director.
Bethany, good morning. We in the Engineering Capital Project Department are thrilled to see the continued investments in fixing San Diego's roads. The more than $104 million for asphalt overlay that is proposed in Mayor Gloria's budget will help maintain our enhanced resurfacing effort and bring more new roadways to San Diegans. We started off fiscal year 2024 with the goal of completing 60 miles of overlay, as Mayor Gloria mentioned. Thanks to the hard work of city staff and our contractors, we are currently on track to surpass the goal and complete more than 71 miles of overlay by. And next fiscal year is expected to be even better. Currently working on designs for fiscal year 2025 and expect to overlay approximately 75 miles of San Diego roads. That's more than double the 33 miles of overlay we completed just a few years ago in fiscal year 2022. The department is actively collaborating with the construction industry to ensure that our overlay projects are designed and constructed using best practices. This partnership is crucial in elevating the quality of the installed pavement and securing resources within the region to support the ramp-up effort of the pavement program. Additionally, our city engineers are at the forefront of innovation, working with the region at building better roads to pilot materials such as fire reinforcement and recycled asphalt pavement to promote sustainability while increasing the durability and expected lifetime of the new asphalt, demonstrating our commitment to the long-term road quality. These repair roads will be strategically replaced throughout every community and follow the guidance of the pavement management plan that Bethany just mentioned. And it would not be possible without the significant investment being proposed today. The proposed $104 million budget for overlay project is more than 4 times what it was in fiscal year 2021. Asphalt overlay gives new life to cracked and heavily damaged roadways. Segments of major roadways like Genesee Avenue, La Jolla Parkway, Navajo Road, University Avenue, and Otay Mesa Road have already been overlaid, extending their lifespan by 20 to 25 years. We are on a mission to do the same for other major roadways in the next fiscal year. I would like to thank Mayor Gloria for his commitment to securing safe and equitable infrastructure across the city. We are proud to deliver the improved product to San Diegans. Thank you. Mayor Gloria?
Thank you, Rania. Now I'd like to present or ask our budget chair, Kent Lee, Councilmember Kent Lee, to share a few words. This now proposal goes to him to vet with the general public. Councilmember?
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. First off, I want to thank Mayor Gloria and his team for their partnership as we continue to work together to pass a responsible and balanced budget. I'd also like to specifically thank Chief Financial Officer Matt Vespi, all of our department heads, as well as all of our hardworking city employees for their collective work towards producing this budget. I want to commend Mayor Gloria for fighting to protect our progress on core city services, from ongoing street repair needs to public safety. I also want to acknowledge the mayor for his continued efforts to tackle our housing affordability crisis, homelessness, as well as numerous critical infrastructure needs. As has been mentioned, the reality is that this year presents several fiscal challenges, partly due to the end of federal pandemic funding, but also because major revenues are down due to broader conditions in the economy. But the needs of our communities throughout San Diego remains unchanged. The mayor and city council will be forced to make difficult decisions when it comes to our budget in ensuring that our city passes a responsible budget that balances the city's operational and programmatic needs. Today's release of the fiscal year 2025 proposed budget is just the beginning of our overall process. And as chair of our Budget and Government Efficiency Committee, I'll be calling on my city council colleagues to sharpen our pencils and take a deep dive into this budget in the month ahead. And since this is such a fiscally challenging year, I expect that we will see a thorough public vetting to ensure that the community's voice is heard when it comes to our priorities. I do have a message for all San Diegans, which is that I look forward to working with you as well as the members of our city council to review this budget proposal. And I want to encourage members of the public to attend the Budget Review Committee hearings and participate in the process in determining what the city's financial priorities should be. Here's what happens next and how you can get involved. On April 26th, our independent budget analyst will release a full breakdown of the budget with a comprehensive analysis that every member of the public can review. Starting on May 1st, the City Council will begin daily hearings to review each department's budget in collaboration with the IBA. And on May 1st and May 8th at 6 o'clock p.m. at City Hall, members of the public will be invited to come and speak to the City Council to share about their budget priorities. And after a month of vetting those budget priorities, working with our City Council colleagues, we will look to take our final vote on the budget on June 11th. Again, thank you to Mayor Gloria, as well as his entire team for making key investments in road repair, homelessness services, and public safety. And I look forward to working with everyone, including the public, to ensure we deliver on protecting our progress. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you all. That's the conclusion of our set assigned speakers. I want to acknowledge this is not San Diego weather. You have been troopers through both this temperature and whatever drizzle that may be. I want to take a couple questions if we can. Every speaker can do one-on-ones as well, but obviously I want to be efficient because I want to get all these incredible city employees back out on their day jobs because there's a lot to work to do to run America's 8th largest city. So questions I can take from folks. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
So that is going to be more money out of taxpayers here in San Diego. So why is there more need for a sales tax or a wastewater tax later this fall when your budget has to go to $5.5 billion?
So I'll refer you to the comments I made earlier. The city is no different than everyday San Diegans. You know, you're paying more for gas, so are we. You're doing it for 1 or 2 cars. We're doing it for over 4,000 vehicles, right? Electricity. You know, everyone likes to talk about SDG&E. We have a lot of accounts. We have 60,000 streetlights, so we have to pay for. Those prices go up. It's reflected in what we have to pay as well. So the rising costs of operating day to day, both in your family and in our city, are the same. And so we have to cover those particular costs. You're asked about new revenue. I think our chief financial officer was crystal clear. When you take a look at the numerous condition assessments that we have performed over the last few years, what you see is a deferred maintenance challenge that numbers in a roughly $5 billion range. As you know, this budget proposal, beginning to end, is $5 billion. There's no reasonable way to accommodate all of the capital needs that we have as a city without finding new ways to pay for it. Others in the past may have told you different. I'm here to tell you the truth. We need additional resources in order to fix our roads, repair our piers, fix those ball field lights at parks, all the things you all are reporting on daily. It's all around. You see it. We need additional resources to do it. And what I know for sure is delaying will only make it more expensive. And the emergency repairs that are necessary are also more expensive. So we hope and intend to ask the public to consider this question this November, but that's for another day. Today we're talking about how we propose a budget that's on time and balanced. That's what this proposal is. Mm-hmm. Well, a couple of things. One is that through the course of the pandemic, when families were struggling just to be able to keep the lights on and care for themselves and their children, the city, I think, did a responsible thing, a merciful thing, by saying that we will not cut people's water off and that we'll work with them. We continue to work with ratepayers all across the city to try and pay back that debt. even better than that, the city has gone out with very sharp elbows to get resources from the state and federal government to try and diffuse those debts as well, to bring down that overall cost. As we get back into a more normal environment, as the pandemic fades into our rear view, we're going to have to be more aggressive about pulling in these resources. But may I draw your attention to the fact that that's not the only thing that is owed to us. I'll look at a Mission Bay Park lessee that owns us over $12 million. Think about what I could do in this budget if I had those folks paying their rent and they're choosing not to, and we're in court having to deal with it. That's ridiculous. So there are a multitude of folks who owe the city resources, and the more folks who are willing to pay their bills, just as I have to pay our city's bills, that would be beneficial. It'll accrue to everyone's benefit. But what you're asking about is a part of our ongoing challenges as we come out of the pandemic. It's a significant one, and it's one that we handle, recognizing that for a lot of folks, they're barely making ends meet and they want to be able to keep the water on and be able to do what they need to do. We have to balance that with the need to make sure that we're not passing unreasonable rate increases on to other San Diegans. Kelly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So a couple of things. I mean, that state audit, you can our management response as well as the response from the San Diego Housing Commission, where we take some exception to the comments that they're making. One of their recommendations is they want to have a website for us to disclose all this information. We've got it. It's called sandiego.gov, and the auditor is welcome to take a look at it. Setting that aside, there is no question that our homeless efforts are getting thousands of people off the streets every single year. Period. Hard stop. The challenge that the housing costs are rising so rapidly and so much that for every 10 people we get off the streets, roughly 13 to 16 become homeless. And so that is the challenge that San Diegans see and get frustrated by, including myself. This is why we are proposing adding another 50% capacity to our overall shelter system so we can get more people off the streets. What I know for sure is that when people are engaged with outreach and sheltering opportunities, they're more likely to end their homelessness for good. And so we need state resources. We would love the state to make an ongoing commitment because it's actually very expensive to do this on a year-by-year basis. We don't have the certainty of process to really get the results that I'd like to see, the ROI, if you will. But when you look at what we are doing as a city, we look at this extremely critically, and whether it is wonderful programs like our family unification program or a safe sleeping program, where we know that these are very efficient, very cost-effective interventions that are getting, again, thousands of people off the streets every year, we're going to continue to do that, and we're going to continue to hustle at the county, state, and federal level to bring more resources to get more folks off the streets. Kelly, last thing on this in terms of resources, it is more expensive to leave people on the sidewalk. They interact with our emergency medical services. They go to our jails. They require sanitation. Some of these folks behind me have to go up and clean up after that. All of that is cost that we can avoid if we simply house these people appropriately. A reminder that the city of San Diego is a pro-housing city. We have nearly doubled the amount of housing permits from last year to this year. So we are aggressively focused on this. And the state auditor is always welcome to take a look at our books. But I think it's more important to look at our results. Thousands of people off the streets, thousands of folks who will not be on the sidewalk tonight because of our sheltering system. And the state can continue to be an ally by providing us the resources that we use to get folks off the streets for good. Andrew. Yeah, you're breaking news, as is your want. What I can say generally is that infrastructure in this city is largely financed through developer impact fees. And so anything that would potentially reduce that would obviously come to the detriment of San Diego neighborhoods. Asked was before about, why would you need new revenue? Well, even those existing resources are not sufficient to meet the demands of the 8th largest city in the country. So any reduction in that is problematic. As with all these things, we deal with them as they come. Reminder that it all rolls downhill, and here's the city right at the bottom. We will deal with it, but I'll need more information. But suffice to say, developer impact fees are one of the main ways that we pay for neighborhood improvements, and that is not going to change anytime soon. let's get these folks back to work. Thank you all for being here. Reminder, Councilmember Lee, chairman of our budget committee, will be leading the public process. I encourage San Diegans to participate, and I look forward to working with the council to deliver an on-time budget in June. Thank you all very much.